Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us this Friday evening, May 21st. It is time for the Green Room, and tonight we have our very special guest, voiceover artist Nick Omana. He'll be joining us in just a few minutes, but right now let's get our show underway with our host. Please welcome Mr. Darrin Ingram!
Man, I'm digging this music, man. You get me pumped. This is good. Oh, there it is. Got it up. I've never had like theme music to a show before, so this just gets me going. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Green Room. We try to go backstage, behind the scenes, and talk about things that you may or may not hear just by either watching people on stage, listening to them on the radio, hearing a spot, or watching them on TV or in film. We get into the nitty-gritty. We have real conversations with real professionals. Hopefully, we try to pretend like we're real professionals as well when we're talking to them, and we do our best. But let me bring out the other hosts of this wonderful show, the trio of bald, the fantastic beauties that are skinned on top. That would be Michael Rosenblum. Hello, sir. And Craig Jackman. Welcome. Oh, my God, you guys are so good looking.
Gentlemen.
I want to dance to that music, too. That's
I know.
good stuff. I feel like the Maya He, Maya Who guy during that song, you know?
And it's got that lead in, too. Oh, man, I love that. So how are you gentlemen doing? It's been a while. We haven't actually been online, as it were, in a while. So what's been going on, Michael?
I got back out into the world again a couple of times.
How does that feel?
It was a little weird at first, honestly. Mm-hmm. It took a second. I was like, oh, right. Okay, this again. And then
what's that smell? That's air. That's air.
This is a glass of beer, not from my own house. Wow, this is amazing.
It's like the whale in that movie with the Infinity Drive and all of those things. Man, the one where they had the towel and they blew up the earth by accident. 42.
Pinocchio. That's
not Pinocchio. You know what I'm talking about. I know you do, and just let me
You're talking about Hitchhiker's Guide.
Thank you so much. Yes,
Hitchhiker's Guide.
Michael was just going to let me struggle. So, you're like we're all like the whale falling to earth. Oh, what is this? What is this sound? I don't know what it is. I'll give it a name. I think it's called air. Air. Hello, air. Oh, what's that lovely thing rushing towards me? I'm going to call it the ground. Yeah, that's how I feel every time I walk outside. What are those green things? Those are trees.
And the little brown things with jagged edges that are off in the horizon.
Those are my children.
Oh.
Keep going, kids. Keep going. You're doing great. You're doing great.
It was rejuvenating, though, to see some friends and know that it was like, it's okay. And we're good. So.
Yeah, did you, because this is my first quest, and I may do this at the Polly's Online Variety Show in person reunion show on July 3rd. I may do long, awkward hugs.
No, they weren't awkward. They were just the right amount.
You missed a moment. I mean,
no, it's that people miss hugging so much that it could keep going. It's
mutual.
Just the right amount. Yeah.
Right. Got it. So while you're still drinking and people are still hugging and got it. Good 20 minutes. I think
that's how to make up for like 15 months of not doing that stuff. So.
Oh, but absolutely.
It's really the one perfect excuse. You know? Like every person you meet. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know you, but I just need to hug people.
And even those that you hug, like you were saying, just big bear.
Right. Right. From behind, starting with the hips. I mean, it's the only way. It's the only way.
You know, what's going to be nice is one of these days, very soon, the three of us are going to actually get to meet each other in person because we have never really met except for right here in the Zoom.
Well, I've met Michael.
Okay, you two have met.
Right.
I've met Michael. Sparks flew. It was a moment.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like a Tesla coil. Wow. Like it just.
Yep.
I imagine with the three of us getting in a room together, it's just going to be fireworks, be like a Katy Perry moment. It's going to be amazing.
Boom. Oh, it's going to bounce right off all our heads, of course.
Yeah.
A lot of static electricity there.
No interference whatsoever.
Hide your cat. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, we have a tremendous show in that our show is really our guest tonight. I mean, and the topic is something obviously near and dear to your hearts, and something that I am sort of venturing into, and that is one of voiceovers.
Yes. And Michael is already doing voiceover. I actually came into this business kind of doing radio / voiceover, but the radio actually led to voiceover. And it's just, I always loved it, especially, well, at least from the radio aspect. It's like, how cool was it? And you know, Michael, you may know this. Well, everybody knows it is. You know, the DJ talks up the song. It starts the song. There's that long intro, 30 seconds, 35 seconds, and you know he's just kind of talking all the way over it. Boom, 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 and then he lets off those call letters right at the very end, and the song hits and plays. That I've always loved, and I've always did that. And so, radio. I worked in radio for a short period of time. And then after that, somebody was saying, voiceover. Why not do commercials? Why not do animation? Why not do industrials? And you don't need to be on camera. You just use your voice and the script is right there in front of you. Yes, it's kind of still acting, but it's just the voice. And tonight, I just am really happy to introduce everybody to this gentleman. I've known him 30 plus years. And you
don't even look over 30. I mean, that's the cool part.
I know. Like, it's surprising. It just stopped. The gentleman I'm going to introduce, his name is Nick Omana, and he has been, or Omana, I'm sorry. He has been in the voiceover business for over 30 years here in Los Angeles, and his talents have been heard on spots like Clorox, Dole, Excedrin, GMC trucks. He's done TV promos for CBS, Fox Cable Network, the WB. He also has voiced a lot of animated characters for Disney, Hanna-Barbera. Some of his animation includes World of Warcraft video game, Enter the Matrix video game. He was on an episode of DuckTales. In Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he was Rasputin the Mad Frog.
Oh my goodness! Wow. I need to get my daughter in here. She's a big TMNT fan, like huge.
Oh, so we're gonna have to ask him to do Rasputin for us.
So he's only worked for minor companies then, like the small.
A little, and he's an incredible coach, and that is how I met Nick, because of his coaching. In fact, before I welcome him on, I was going through stuff to find out some things about him, and one of the things that I love that he says, as we bring him on board here, he said, "It is without a doubt the most best job in the world. I love what I get to do every day, and they pay me for it. I have got to be the luckiest person I know." Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Nick Omana.
Let's see.
There's a voice.
Yes, I know. I'm trying to get my...
Well, we know he can do the voices.
See, this was a trick for our audience. It was going to be a voiceover interview only. No, I'm kidding.
And now I'm unmuted, and I'm back.
And you are back.
Oh, we can go unmasked. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Let me...
Yes, we can.
That was... I can breathe again. Thank God.
You had your shots. It's been 2 weeks, right?
Yes. Yeah. I got both of my shots early on because I'm of the age where I could get them early on.
Ah.
So, there are some advantages to being an old fort. You know, what can I say?
What are you talking about there, Shenny? Nick, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I mean,
thank you for having me. This is going to be fun. I really, well, come on. I get to talk. It's what I do.
Yeah, and they pay you too.
Yeah, you know, as you were saying, yes, I've always said this is the best gig in the world. I get up every day to do something I love doing. Yes, I will, complain and moan about timelines and turnarounds and this and that and the other thing. But you know what? Bottom line is I love it. There's nothing else I'd rather do. So, Yeah, it's kind of like, I guess it's like being an addict. Yeah, I know it's not good for me, but just one more fix.
It's your passion. You got to get it.
But there is a little bit to that, isn't there? There's a little bit of that addiction factor to doing something you love. I mean, and it's not a negative thing. It's just, man, when you get up and you go, I'm going to do it again. I get to do it again.
I never knew as a kid growing up in Salt Lake City, winters we would sit there and of course you'd have snow days and you'd be stuck at home. And my brother and I, we would, go down to my dad's office and he had an open reel, old Wallensack recorder.
Oh my gosh.
And we used to sit there and we would do little radio plays and do all the sound effects and voices and everything and then play them back and laugh and I had no idea you could do that for a living. Really? I didn't find that out until 25 years or 20 years later. It's like, oh my God. So yeah, I had no idea I was training early for the career that I would spend the bulk of my life doing. And I never thought I would do anything for 35 years in my life. You don't think about it. And then one day you fall into it.
The only thing I've done for 35 years is get balder. That's it.
I'm working on it. Trust me.
You have the best head of hair on this show right now. So just take that.
Congratulations.
I will. I will.
That and that.
I figure, it's funny. The older I've gotten, it's all falling out here and taking root in my chest. I've gotten hairier as the years have gone by.
Good for you. Mine's in my back. I have a feeling I'm not going bald. I'm just receding all the way
Lean
back
forward.
this way.
The hair will fall this way.
Yeah, just get a hunch.
Start combing it forward, right?
See, now I'm the last guy to get a hunch. Everybody knows the outcome. I'm clueless. So,
well, Nick, I mean, so we kind of have a little bit of how you got started in voiceover, but literally, I mean, what was the first thing that you did that you could kind of say, yeah, that's it?
It's really funny. I did radio for a very short period of time early on in my 20s. I did it in college and I continued on. And I actually went to the KISS broadcast workshop, 9000 Sunset Boulevard, the old Playboy building. I would be riding up in the elevator. Our studios are on the 9th floor. The Playboy Studios West, the photography studios were on the 8th floor. I'd be riding up in the elevators with some hopefuls and going, I can't look.
Did you ever accidentally push the wrong button? I say accidentally push the wrong button.
You mean the one that stopped the elevator mid-floors? No, you couldn't do that because it would immediately set off an alarm. So, but I went through the whole broadcast workshop. I had a great time. I loved it. Of course, it's very, very intoxicating because we had floor-to ceiling glass windows with a panoramic view of the LA basin. And that was where we did our shifts. And it was gorgeous. And so you don't think about it. And then you get signed on with this radio station. I didn't want to leave LA to work my way back to LA. So I started out in a station in Camarillo for all of about 3 months because it was a top 40 station. I heard the same song 7 times a night. And it's like, I got to get out of here. It was midnight to 6 a.m.
Oh, you got the great shift.
I got yeah. And of course, the only time you ever saw a face in the window of that door, because your life was 2 turntables, 2 cart machines, a telephone, a microphone, a clock, and that little window. And the only time you saw a face in the window was when the boss was sitting there going, "I'm going to see you in my office when you're done." It's like, oh God.
At 6 a.m.
Yes, at 6 a.m. And then of course somebody came along and wanted to do it for less than the $25 a shift I got. Of course, back in that was a lot of money. So, I said, I can't stand this. There was no creativity in it, which is why I got into it. Mm-hmm. And then a few years later, a friend of mine who was rooming with me at the time, he was going to USC and he ended up getting a job at an advertising agency. And he said, I know you like doing this stuff. Why don't you talk to some of the agents I work with and see how to get started? And basically they all said the same thing. I spoke with Lee Gilbert and Vanessa Gilbert, not related in any way, shape or form. But they both said, take some workshops, find out how to learn how to do this and put together a demo. If we hear something we like, we can work with, we'll talk. And so I did that. And lucky enough, I was able to work with Lee Gilbert initially, who handed me off to Tom Pinto, who is really probably the guy the most influence in my life as a mentor and a friend, and taught me how to do voiceover and gave me all kinds of guidance and advice and helped me through the process.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, Tom is still an active voiceover talent, works doing a lot of narration stuff, a lot of things for, History Channel and things like that. But he's also a phenomenal commercial talent himself. And I just happened to be lucky enough to fall in with the right people. And I got going pretty much. I studied a little longer than I probably should have, because Tom finally said, enough with the classes, do a demo. And so I did, and I immediately got signed and started working right away, which was really, really cool.
Oh, wait.
Never enough practice.
Yeah, you said something that's very weird. You said practice and learn. Don't you just talk? Isn't that you just...
Oh yeah, no. It's funny because my dad, when I told him what I was doing, he says, that actually sounds like a good job for you, because we can never get you to shut up. So if you're going to get paid to talk.
Nick, it's so interesting you brought it up, though. I know I have a lot of people come up to me and say, oh, I want to get into this business. Where do I go get a demo done? I go, whoa, hang on. Have you taken classes yet? Have you worked on this? Have you acted before? Because I'd love you coach. I'd love to hear you speak on that with people who just try to jump right into the demo before they've ever looked at copy before.
Well, and that's very important, because coming from radio, I actually thought, oh, I know how to do this. I'm an announcer. Furthest thing from the truth. I had to unlearn so much of what I did in radio to become a voice actor. And I took acting classes, I took improv classes, I took all kinds of things along the way, because you have to be a good actor to be able to work in this business. And it's knowing how to connect with a person. You don't talk at people, you speak to them. And that's the thing. The big old announcers of the days have passed. That doesn't work anymore unless they want to parody something. I mean, when you think about Don Pardo, toward the end of his career, God bless him. I mean, the man worked until he was 90 something years old, with Saturday Night Live, what a great gig that was. But, Don really kind of worked mostly as a parody of himself. Gary Owens was a great example of somebody who he went from the, this is Gary Owens, and you're doing the whole laugh in bit and the classic announcer thing. At one point I heard him on a spot. I was driving down the road and I heard him on a radio spot, and I go, God, that sounds like Gary Owens, but that can't be Gary because he's not announcing. And so I called his agent and I said, is that Gary on the Taco Bell spots? And he goes, yes, it is. I said, well, good for him. Gary was able to make that morph into the more mainstream conversational stuff. He could still do the classic Gary Owens. And when they wanted that, man, he could turn it on all day long. But he was just really good. And he's such a nice guy too, on top of that. I mean, I met Gary, the first time I ever met Gary, I was 15 and a half years old. I was working at McDonald's. He came in with his family at the Encino McDonald's on Ventura Boulevard. And he's like, okay, come on, everybody, get in, get you ready to order. This man's busy. He's got things to do. Just come on. And by the end of the transaction, I thought I was the important person. I thought, wow, this is cool. Years later, when I met him and worked with him in a session, I said, and I related the story to him. And he said, oh, you must have caught me on a good day. That was Gary. He was just phenomenally nice and extremely talented too. But, yeah.
Well, and you bring up something that a lot of people, myself included, when I first thought about, hey, I'd love to do voiceovers, was I know how to act. I know how to speak. It's got to be super easy, right? All I got to do is talk. And it's so not. Just talking to these two guys and then yourself and anybody else that's in the business, it's so nuanced. There's so much to learn. And you can't just walk up to a mic and just say, oh, I'm going to do this now.
You can, but you won't get the result you want. No, you're absolutely right. I think a lot of times what people don't realize, it's like watching Tiger Woods back in his prime play golf. He made it look so easy. And he was such a great ambassador for the game because people thought, wow, well, that's easy. I can go out and trust me. I've lost many balls on a golf course in directions they were never intended to go, all because of that man. No, it's just, the people that are good at what they do make it look easy. When you watch the ice skaters, when you watch Dorothy Hamill or any of the ice skaters that went on to win gold, you go, wow. And then you get out on the ice with the wobbly ankles and you fall flat on your back. And it's like, no, this is not for me. I cannot tell you how many people I've had come through classes, and the whole idea of taking a basic, class with me is to learn whether or not you want to go on. And then if you sit there and you kind of get bit by the bug and you go, yeah, this is fun, I really enjoy this. There's so many things you can venture off into. I mean, I've done animation, I've done promos, I've done audiobooks, I've done narration, I've done anything you can imagine. I've probably worked in almost all of the different genre of voiceover available. Hopefully in 35 years, I've had the chance to do it.
What was the one that you liked the most? I'm curious, of all of those.
Oh man, that's a hard one. That's like picking your favorite child.
It's my daughter.
And Sammy, just if you're listening, no.
Sorry, Sky. But
no, you know what? I've had so much fun over the years doing a bunch of things. The ones that stick out to me were early on in my career. There was a point I was working for a client, and I walked in and I did the job. And he asked me at the end of the session, he said, "Can you do a Native American Eskimo accent?" And I go, yeah, I think I can. It's probably more in the writing than anything. And so he handed me a script. I went into the booth and I read it down, and he goes, "Oh my God, that was perfect. That's exactly what I want." And it's, I thought, wow, just proves even a blind monkey can find a coconut. But I had no idea what I was doing. I just put on my best. Of course, over the years, I love telling jokes. And one of the things that you do is in jokes, you always take on a persona. Mm-hmm. So I went back to the old, bear in the woods, Indian chief talking to his son about how they name their children. And so it's like, the young man asks his father, the chief of the Indians, says, "Father, how do we come to name the people in our tribe?" "Oh, the people in our tribe are named for the things we see around us. When your sister was born, I saw a deer, so that is how she became known as Running Deer. When your brother was born, I saw an eagle flying, so he is now Flying Eagle. What'd you ask? Two bears pooping." No.
And if you closed your eyes, you could see him as the chief.
Hey, we got a question from our audience. So this is from Nicole Pierce, who is a lovely performer with her husband, Mike Pierce. Is there a way, it's a two-parter, is there a way you can practice voice acting? For instance, are there scripted animation videos around that which you can practice with?
There are not necessarily. So many things are tied up with NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, that you really don't have the ability to forward those things out to people for them to practice with. What I will tell you, if you are interested in a particular genre, just DVR something on TV. And I know it's arduous and tedious to do so, but then transcribe the script from the TV. And then you have actually something to compare your performance against when you see and listen to what they actually did in the final. So I know it's not a convenient answer, but I will tell you, the people that have done really, really well in this business have painstakingly done those exact things. There are people out there. Mark Silverman is a guy who I've worked with Mark many times over the years as a producer of his demos and things and projects he's worked on. But Mark actually ended up getting the gig for the voice of Tower of Terror at Disneyland because he does a dead on Rod Serling. And I said, "Wow, you're really good at it." He said, "Yeah, I've listened to hundreds of hours of the show." trying to mimic his voice. They go, wow, okay. Hey, I'm not going to make a comment on the fact that the man's not married, but he spends more time perfecting his voices than going out. I'm just saying.
When you look at some of the classic cartoons, I mean, we grew up like with the Warner Brothers, and I mean, Mel Blanc, the obvious, all the characters except, well, in the beginning, except Elmer Fudd, and then the female characters, which were June Foray. But for now it takes what, 4 or 5 different people to do all
actually
those characters?
When Mel Blanc died, it took 7 people to replace him on all the characters, obviously Bob Bergen being one of them, doing Porky the Pig. But yeah,
Joe Lasky was another one, I think, right?
Yes, Joe was.
Although now is it Eric Bauza is doing, I think, both Bugs and Daffy right now.
I believe so.
Yeah,
unfortunately, I have not been keeping
and
up
Marvin
on
the
that.
Martian. He's got a few of them.
Oh,
I
Marvin,
love Marvin the Martian. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember you and I going back and forth on that many times, Nick. Isn't that nice?
Yes, we were 2 very lonely men in LA.
Advanced dating rituals of voiceover artists.
I go to the bar and I go up to her.
I would
and
like to
start talking about
procreate
Marvin the
with
Martian.
you. What do you think?
I'm going to blow up the earth.
Let me get out my Illudium Pure 36 explosive space modulator.
What scares me is you remember that.
Would you believe I had that as a license plate frame on my Saturn?
Yes. No pause. Yes.
I love it.
By the way, you mentioned watch a video, right? Watch a video and just practice. Something somebody told me a while ago was do the same thing, DVR it, but DVR it with closed captioning on. And then
you go.
And then turn the sound off.
So you're not already predisposed as to what you're going to do with it. That's a very good idea.
Yeah. So and then you read the lines to the action, but turn the sound off, and now you've got your script with the action.
Yeah. And it's funny. I'm glad you said that, because it reminds me of a story many years ago, and may predate a lot of people who were watching, but there was an ad campaign for 9 Lives cat food. And John Irwin was the voice of Morris the cat. And Morris always had this very, kind of, he's very persnickety as a cat. Okay, what cat isn't? Okay.
Right.
So
I think you described cats. I don't know.
I am cat, therefore I am.
Exactly. It's like, what? I live here because wait, I pay the mortgage. Okay, whatever. But, John Irwin had done this campaign for probably 12, maybe even as much as 15 years at this point. And they had a new producer working with him through the ad agency. And the producer told him in a session, said, I don't think Morris would say it like that. And John said, I think Morris would say it exactly like that. I am Morris. I've been Morris from the inception of the campaign. And the producer pushed the point, and John sat there and said, okay, you know what? You're probably right. Maybe you should get somebody else to do the voice. And he walked on a $600,000 a year contract.
Wow.
And it's like, they did an exhaustive search to find somebody to replace his voice. And they found somebody who sounded exactly like him. Listening to what John had done, but in the session could not create it from new copy because didn't have the sensibilities and the personality of Morris. So therein lies the difference between imitation and creation. Mm-hmm. They brought John back at a healthy raise, and he never had to work with that producer again, funny enough. So I'm not saying you should be cavalier about these things and quit every job when you get the first, hitch in the get along. But, there's a point to which you need to also stand behind. And it's going to bring me to another point as far as people who start in the business. They always say, oh, well, Nick, what would you charge for something like this? And I'll tell them, so, well, yeah, but you've been in a business a long time. I'm just starting out. I can't charge that. I will tell you, I will work for scale anytime. I do not overcharge on my stuff. I charge a fair and reasonable rate. on things. The thing is, people always say, well, I need to pay my dues. Mm-hmm. You know how you pay your dues? You've paid your dues if you've taken classes, you've worked your butt off, you've practiced, you've done in workout groups, you've, networked with people, you've done your demo. Those are your dues. Do not let anybody piggyback off of your efforts and try to pay you less or make you think you're worth less because you're just starting out. If you're good enough to get paid for a job, you're good enough to get paid fairly. I'm not even going to say well, but fairly for that job. Don't ever, ever settle for less because it is nearly impossible to raise your rate. But it's always easy to knock your rate down. Mm. Don't ever start bottom. There are a lot of bottom feeders out there. And if you want to, suck on the mud, go ahead and knock yourself out. I'm not going to be one of them. So hold to a standard.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Finish up.
No. You please.
Yeah, because I was going to say
I can go on forever.
there are those services that I know you and I have talked about it, and I think that the guys and I have also talked about it. Yeah. I don't know if we want to name them, but it's like,
for liability's sake, we shall not say it. But let me put it out this way.
Yes,
there are services out there that charge you a fee to be involved with them. There is not a reputable agent in town or across this country who charges you up front. They make their money off of your earnings. They get a commission off of your work. And the way they get that commission is by putting you out there, giving you opportunities. Your job is to do your best to get the job through the audition process, and then they get a commission. But there's a service, they charge $400 a year to be involved with. They tout having 100,000 clients worldwide. That's $40 million a year just off of subscription services. And yet they still take 20% or more on a job. And there have been times, and I know this for a fact because I know the person who knows the person to whom this happened, but it was a young lady who did a job. It was a $5,000 pay, which is not anything to sneeze at. She did the job. Turns out there's no transparency in these companies. You can't talk directly to the client. The client can't talk directly to you. It must go through them. So turns out that this young lady knew and recognized, and vice versa, the director in the session. And they said, oh, that's great. So we get to work together, blah, 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 blah. They did the job. Anyway, 3 weeks later, she calls the company and says, hey, when am I going to get paid on this job? And they said, you'll get paid when we get paid. Okay, that makes sense. So a couple of weeks later, she happens to have run into that director producer at another studio, totally unrelated. They were not working together. They were working on separate projects, ran into each other in the lobby. And she said, hey, it was so great working with you. Thank you so much. It was a great session. By the way, hate to bother you. I know $5,000 is a lot of money, but any idea when that's going to get paid? And the producer says, well, two problems with that. One, it got paid 3 weeks ago. And two, what are you talking $5,000? It was a $25,000 job. They kept 20 grand and gave her 5.
Wow.
Because there is no transparency. Had she not run into him, she never would have known.
Wow. And these are the online services. These are actual, and again, without saying the exact name, these are .com services. Because somebody in the chat was asking, they think they know it's like an animation academy. No, this is a .com service. Yep. And it's I mean, there are those academies too, to be careful of.
Yeah. The hardest thing is there are so many people always willing to take your money, and you want to know what their qualifications are. What is their, how did they learn how it is that they're teaching you? I will tell you everything I've learned. I would love to say everything I teach people in my classes and in my coaching comes from this wonderful brain trust between my ears. No, it's all the stuff I've stolen from Tom Pinto and from Lee Gilbert and, anybody that I've learned from along the way, but it was great stuff. It has served me well, and it's allowed me to be able to build a career that has sustained me for 35 years and has done nicely along the way. You know, I'm not rich, but I'm not poor. You know, there are very few things I want for you. Come on. I look well fed, please.
How much of the
Go ahead.
I was going to say,
Go
how
ahead,
much do you think the success of those online things are attributed to sort of the multi-tiered factor of insecurity on the performer's part, fear of the industry, convenience of the online option, and sort of the ambiguity of, if I just do it here, then no one's going to think I suck because there's nobody actually feeding me back that lack of validation.
All of the above.
Do you think?
All
Yeah,
of the above.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. What I will tell you, and this is probably something a lot of people don't want to hear. This is a business. We happen to be very fortunate to apply a creative side of our being to something we love doing every day. But you could be the best actor in the world, and if nobody knows you exist, you will sit quietly and all alone in a room for the rest of your life. You have to get out there and promote yourself. You have to do what you can to attract attention. You need to do, people hate this when I tell them this because they always go, but I'm no good at a cold call. Pick up the phone and make it a game. When I first started working in the business, my goal was to make a call until I got a yes every day. Can I send you a copy of my demo? And here's the biggest thing. Don't sell yourself. Don't call people and say, hey, I do voiceover. You need me? They go, no, I don't know. Probe, ask questions. More than anything, offer to help. Because when you offer to help, you dig in a little bit and you find out what people need. And based on their needs, you can tell them what you can do to help them. And then the deal closes itself. They go, well, gosh, yeah, we would love to talk to you about that. What is your particular problem? Do you do trade shows? Yeah. Do you have a video in your booth? Yeah. When you do that, call me. The best way to get work is create your own work. Mm. I can write that. I can produce it. I can shoot it. I can voice it. I can do everything you need. And then you look at me and go, I don't do that. Great. Call me. I will tell you people to contact who you can hire as film crews and sound crews and editors and writers. But here's the thing. You're going to get 2 paychecks out of it right off the bat. One is the voice talent and one is the executive producer. If you're comfortable with writing, you now have 3 paychecks. If you happen to be any good with a camera, you now have 4 paychecks. So whatever you want to do. But if you hire a crew and that crew goes on to work on other projects and they say, hey, we really need a voiceover person. Guess who they call? And that is the real networking. I mean, I love voice talent. There are a lot of great people I've not, gotten to know over the years and have hung with and done things with. Do not network with other voiceover talent necessarily for work because they're working to get work for themselves, not for you. And they are the best people in the world. I will say that it's probably the most supportive. Yes, we're competitive, but we're not backstabbing. It's a great community.
I think there's one teeny caveat to that, which is because it's all phenomenal points, is where you connect with other voice actors would be with like a workout group. I had a group that,
oh gosh,
I mean, we worked together every week for like 7 years straight until COVID came about. And we propped each other up. We recommended each other to other agents when somebody was looking. So that's the one time where you lean on the other voice actor because they can provide
absolutely
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. I actually, years ago when I started out, I was in a workout group for 5 years. We met every Tuesday night. I was probably for 5 years, 90% of those Tuesday nights I was involved in the group. And you're absolutely right. Yes, but that becomes a family.
Yeah.
That becomes your little, your go-to group and I just called a friend of mine who I knew was with William Morris. I just called him a few weeks back just to check in and see, so what's going on? And he said, things are still kind of tight. And then he told me about DB Talent in Austin shuttering their doors. It's like, oh, wow. So I sent him an agent's list and I said, hey, here's some of the people I work with. talk to them.
Mm.
He goes, why would you do that? Because I've known you for 20 years and you're a friend, and why wouldn't I? It's just sometimes you get into a culture, not to say that big agencies do kind of foster that, but when I was at William Morris, for all the 3.5 months I was there and read over 400 auditions in 3.5 months, did not book a single job.
Oh
My gosh.
I went to them. I
this
said,
is the big agency.
yeah. Well, then no longer,
No,
which
okay.
tells you something. Yeah. But it's one of those things where I went to the head agent there after that time period. And I said, you know what? I'm too small a fish to swim in this pond. He says, no, your auditions are great. It's just a matter of time. I've got clients now, but we all know every client you have eventually goes away in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes you die and that's how the job ends for you. But hopefully not for, in the near future. But, things change, they change agencies, they change, direction, they change philosophies, they go out of business themselves. So you need to always have new work coming in. And I said, I'm not getting any new work. I've got to get new work coming in. And so the agent that I had been with, who left the agent, it was a long story, but our old agent, or my agent, retired. She was kind of left out of the continuing agency group. So it took her about 3.5 months to land someplace. And it was a small boutique agency. So I called her and said, hey, I just heard you landed. Would you be interested in repping me again? She said, you want to leave William Morris to come with me? I said, yeah. She said, okay. Well, 5 weeks and 36 bookings later,
Wow.
I go, well, obviously that was the right choice. So, it's not the size of the agency. There's no prestige in being at a big name agency if you're not making your monthly net. And there's no shame at being at a small agency if you're one of their key players.
Wait. So you're saying it's a business?
I know.
That's so weird.
Show business.
We got a couple of questions in
Sure.
the YouTube chat, Nick, for you. One of them, Jeremy Kwok, he said, is there a lot of data out there that helps you know about how much you should make at each stage of your career? Because you kind of did bring that up. So Jeremy wants to kind of circle back on that a little bit. And, okay, fine, let's say, what would be a good way to start and then level up from there?
One of the things in that, that's kind of a hard question to answer because there's so many variables involved. But at one point, my first agent that I was with, I began to outgrow them, which is kind of a bold statement for an upstart voice talent in the business. But I really felt I'd outgrown them. And so I decided to move, and I put my demo out. I did not put my demo out there. I'm probably the worst person to ask about how to get an agent, only because every agent I've ever had has asked for my demo. And it's a weird thing because of working with Tom Pinto at Voice Tracks West years ago. I worked with Mary Lynn Wisner. I was actually I
remember her, yeah.
I was directing Natalie Schaefer, Mrs. Howell from Gilligan's Island. I worked with Natalie Schaefer, Russell Johnson, the professor, and Don Wells, Marianne, who was an absolute sweetheart. And so when I was working with, directing Natalie Schaefer, Mary Lynn came in for the session to kind of handhold the client through the process. And at the end of it, she said, you're a good director. I said, well, thank you. She said, do you do voiceover too? I said, yeah, I just literally finished my demo the week before. And she said, are you repped by anybody? I said, currently I'm not. Happened to hear my demo right then and there. I got a call that afternoon. She said, I'd love to have you come by the office. I said, when? I don't think she even finished the sentence before I was asking when she wanted me to come over. And so I worked with the agency. Mary Lynn left shortly thereafter. And then we had a couple of other people come in. Eventually, I just kind of outgrew it. And it was weird because when I wanted to leave, John Fisher, who was now both the on-camera agent and the voiceover agent, he said, I want to keep you for on camera. I go, I don't do on camera. I can sell you. You're a type. I said, all right, well, whatever. And I kind of thought it was a slap in the face to people who had actually trained to do this. it didn't get lost on me that I was just kind of, working my way into a part of the business that I really had no, training in, and it was kind of a slap in the face of the people that had been working training. But they said, okay, yeah, whatever. So then I mentioned something to Greg Brown, who was at Herb Tannen Agency, and he said, well, how come I haven't seen your demo on my desk? And I said, oh, the one that's going to be on your desk in 15 minutes. And I was 15 minutes away at Voice Track Fest, drove over there, Franklin and Vine, or Yucca and Vine, and it was on his desk. And he called me a couple of days later, and I heard the one thing that I heard from him that I had not heard from a lot of other people to that point is, we would love to sign you, not for what you're making now, but for what you will be making 5 years from now. Mm. I go, oh, they have a development plan. They want to push me. They want to work with me. They want to develop me. And funny enough, I doubled my income every year for the next 5 or 6 years. Wow. And that's when, it became serious money. I ended up getting Mazda. I ended up getting Bank of America. I ended up, they were putting me out on things that I may not have thought I was ready for, but they were, they were on me. And it's funny because Greg came in, he guest directed a voiceover class I was teaching one night. And I do this thing with colors, which I learned from Tom Pinto. Mm-hmm. I stole with love. But, and, Greg really seemed to work well with that. He kind of connected on that whole thing. And so he said, can I have a copy of that? I said, yeah. Next day I went to the agency to read. That color chart was on the wall. He said, great. Can you give me that one more time, but give me a little more orange. I go, oh yeah. Are you kidding? I'm visual. I can do orange all day long. So, it's just, those are the things you want to look for. Finding an agent is kind of like dating. You may not find the right one you're going to marry right out of the gate. And don't be afraid to leave a relationship that's not working, because you're not doing yourself any favors. The longer you stay there, the less time you have working with somebody who can actually be out there selling you and getting you going. And I know it's hard, but when you find the right one, you go, thank goodness.
Your classic example right there, going from William Morris to, this monster agency to, now, would you consider where you're at a boutique then?
Where I'm at now is actually where I went after the boutique agency. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, the boutique. It's funny because when I left that agency, I actually told the agent, who is a longtime and still continuing good friend and a teaching partner as well. We go back to Charlotte, North Carolina twice a year to teach, and they have a great time doing it. And I told her at one point, I said, you know what? The owner of the agency's got to do something, because you need somebody other than, he used to staff the departments with interns. Mm-hmm. How much skin in the game do they have? If they mess something up, what you fire me from a job I don't get paid for? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, well, thank you. Now I can actually go out and get a job. But I told her, I said, look, he's got to bring in a full-time assistant for you. You are too high priced a commodity in this agency to be calling me with my booking times and my audition times. I want you on the phone getting more opportunities for us. And she said, no, you're absolutely right. So she talked to him. And I said, I don't want to put a timeline on it, but I have to. 3 months from now, if things haven't changed, I've got to go. Mm-hmm. I took her out to lunch 3 months later. And the first thing she said is, I know where we're having this lunch. I go, okay. And to that point, I'd followed her from agency to agency to agency. She first originally was with Herb Tannen, then was at Abrams, Rubloff, and Lawrence, then at Steve Tischerman Agency, and then finally where she was. And I told her, I said, I appreciate that. She said, look, if you didn't tell me you had to go, I would tell you you had to go. Huh. And I thought, wow, did she let me off the hook or what? And I thanked her profusely, and I moved on from there. But it was, and then she was gone from there within a few months after that, saying, this is just, it's not a good working environment. I need to leave. I'm not getting the support I need. And, you know, I'm glad she did that because she now owns her own agency and she's doing just fine. Sometimes you need that push out of the comfort zone. You know, it's like staying in an abusive relationship. It's okay to live with what you know because you're too afraid of what you don't. Well, what if it's worse? What if it's better? And in most cases, it probably is. You know, you just kind of, you can't surrender to the Stockholm syndrome.
Well, and I think you touched on something that we talk about a lot just in parallel to abusive relationships and really just business relationships, which is if you don't value yourself enough, you will allow yourself to be used by others. And that's true in business. It's true in life. And knowing what your value is and being comfortable and confident with, I'm worth something. And it's more than what you're giving me. It might be a hard thing to do, but it's worth it when you do.
Oh my gosh, yes. You know, it's the hardest thing to do because sometimes we think it's arrogant. Sometimes we think we're you know, boasting or full of ourselves. No, it's just taking control of your life and realizing people will take as much as they can from you. And they will take as much as you are willing to give. And I'm not saying, again, it doesn't need to be contentious, but there needs to be mutual respect and mutual understanding of each other's worth. And, you know, finding that is really hard, especially in a business where we are constantly looking for validation. I cannot tell you how many times people have asked me, and my girlfriend being one of them, so whatever happened with that job that you read on the other day? Obviously I didn't get the job, or I worked that yesterday morning. But you know, the thing is, you do it, you do your best, and you let it go. Because here's the deal. There are people in this world that don't like chocolate. I don't know what their problem is, but they just don't.
They're awful
people. Exactly. You could be the richest, sweetest, smoothest, most velvety Belgian chocolate in the world. Won't make a difference. And it doesn't mean you're not good. And more importantly, you have 10 people competing on a job. If they pick only one, that's all they're gonna pick. Does that mean the other 9 were awful? No, I have literally seen it come down to the toss of a coin. And I was the one tossing the coin. I had a client in New York. We were doing a casting session in LA. It was a Friday afternoon. The job worked at 9 a.m. on Monday morning. And they said, so who do you think? So-and-so or so-and-so? I said, wow. You know, they're both really good talent. They're both really good people. They're both easily directable. I don't know what to tell you. So, you have a quarter in your pocket? Yeah. Take it out. Okay. Flip it. If it's heads, it's so-and-so. If it's tails, it's so-and-so. I go, okay, wow. There you go. There's your answer.
Yeah.
So it gets down to that. Don't ever think, remember, it's always selection, not rejection. They're choosing somebody, not actively rejecting you.
That's a great way to look at it too. I mean, because actors, voiceover artists, anybody in the industry, it's like, they all get freaked out when they don't get selected. But when you just got to let it go, do your best.
Yeah. Be the best you can be. And that's the thing, is everybody's always trying to find, you know, there's actually, funny enough, I have a copy of the book right here that I absolutely love, A Whack on the Side of the Head, How You Can Be More Creative by Roger Von Oak. And one of the things that he does, I'm actually going to pull this out because this is, I've been writing a book on voiceover forever. One day it will be completed, hopefully before I die, but I promise I'll come back from the dead to finish it.
And then share it with us here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But this exercise I always love. It's like there's 5 shapes on the page, right? A, B, C, D, and E. Pick the one that's different from all the rest. Okay. So you got A up here.
Yep.
B here. I'd never make it as a weatherman because I always go the wrong direction. C, D, oh gosh, and E. So who you picked A? Who have you picked B? Okay, C. Okay, D or E for the listening audience. So I'm going to read from the book here real quickly. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. If you chose figure B, the one that was a triangle, you are correct. It's the only one that has all straight lines. So give yourself a pat on the back. There you go.
I went to Mensa courses. Yay.
So then, however, some of you may have chosen figure C because it's the only one that is asymmetrical, and C would be the right answer. Case can be made for figure A. It's the only one that has no points, so A would be correct. D is the only one that has both straight and curved lines, so D is the right answer. And E is the only one that has that looks like the projection of a Euclidean, non-Euclidean triangle into Euclidean space.
That's a lot of words.
I've had this book for years, have no idea what that means. Yeah. However, the best way I can explain it is like you take an equilateral triangle, lay it over a basketball, there you have it. So, but the whole point of that exercise that I absolutely love, because we are taught to think in absolute terms, A, B, C, D, or E, true or false, yes or no. Life is not that way. There is more than one right answer to a lot of things. So when you grab a piece of copy, my suggestion is try to find two ways to attack that copy that are totally different enough that they stand as two separate takes, not just a shade of gray of one another, but still satisfy the specs and submit two takes. You've just doubled your chances of booking. I'll take those odds anytime.
Wow. That's great advice.
And I will tell you, Terry Burland, my casting director, teaching partner here in LA, she always says when she sends out a call and asks for self-submits or self-tapes, and a person only sends one take, she goes, "Why are you being so stingy?" So don't think you're imposing upon them by giving them two takes.
I like catching people off guard when you get those commercial editions where you have like one line, you know?
Oh my God.
Those where you get like 5 words and they tell you to do 3 takes. My first take, I always do something before that line just to because they're hearing the same thing. If the line is like, wait, where are we supposed to go? If that's the line, right? Everybody go, wait, where are we supposed to go? Wait, where are we supposed to go? Wait. So I always go, wait, where are we supposed something before, just so that the person listening who's heard 1,000 things the same goes, oh, that was different.
Yep. You want to be able to stand out.
So vomit.
Yeah. I don't know why I get those. I get those a lot. A lot of the ones I book is the guy that's like unsure of what. Oh, okay. Like I get that guy. I don't know why that.
Because you're confidently unsure.
I'm confidently unsure. That's right. Master of the vocal junk.
I always wanted to be.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was say I always wanted to be the guy that did all of the deaths in video games.
Those are brutal.
They are so hard on your voice.
Are they really?
Oh my God! Huh, yeah. Oh, I just did one. It's so funny. I had an 11 to 1 gaming session last week, followed by a 3 o'clock session for a regular commercial.
Oh no.
Oh God, I hope I don't blow my voice out. And luckily they were very kind to me. I told them, I said, I've got a 3 o'clock. Can we go easy on me? And they said, yeah. You know, it doesn't have to be an excruciating death. We just need you to die. So
2 funny stories on the video game dying ones. I saw somebody tell a story once about, they said, okay, so on this take, you're getting shot in your right arm and it's a poison bullet, so it goes all the way up and it kills you. And he does it. And then they say, okay, now do it as if you were shot in your left arm.
So did you do it backwards?
No, but the coolest tip I got from an awesome pair of video game directors was that excruciating deaths or just deaths don't have to be, you know, that all the huge stuff. It could be something as simple as life expiring.
Yeah, the death rattle.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my, that like blew my mind that it didn't have to be this horrifying blood curdling scream.
A buddy of
Yes,
mine
unless
is
you're
a,
being incinerated.
Right. Well, yes. If you're on fire, by all
Wow.
means, please do
Minor
the,
detail.
a friend of
hurts.
mine is a sound editor for video games.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
and
gotta
so
be tough.
when you call him, sometimes if he's working, no joke, you will hear while you're talking to him, uh, 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 and he's just ranging the entire, like, oh, I don't know if I like that. It's the same sound for like 2 hours while you're talking to him. Like, dude, can you make that stop? Because that's really unnerving.
Nick, I got another question here, actually from
Sure.
one of your students.
Oh my.
Yes, and by the way, Nick is a coach, an acting coach, or a voiceover coach. So go to nickomana.com. I put it in the chat. I'll put it in the chat as he answers this question. If you want to find out more about him, it's Juan Rodriguez.
Hey Juan, how are you? I love Juan. This guy has worked his butt off to get going into business.
Well, he asks, what is some advice you have received from a mentor that you have had that you now give to people?
Oh man. I would probably say more than anything is practice, practice, practice. Find a way to if you're just starting out, realize that my day, and since COVID, it's been crazy. I've been literally working 7 days a week since March of last year.
Wow.
And if you think about it, 100% of us had the ability to audition from home. Only about 10% of us actually had broadcast quality studios at home. So 90% of my competition fell away within a week. It's just like, oh my. So, and be careful what you wish for. You know, I said in 2020, gosh, I hope next year's or said 2019, I said, I hope next year's busier, because 2019 was kind of a so-so year. And son of a gun if it didn't. But yeah, practice, 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 because what I do in a course of a day, just, I mean, there are days, Monday this week, I thought, oh, kind of a light day on the book. By the end of the day, I had 8 auditions and 2 jobs.
Wow.
So, you know, it's one of those things where my practice is scheduled for me by right of the fact that my agents are constantly giving me auditions and work. And I'm in the booth probably 2.5, 3 hours a day. So if you want to catch me and you want to pass me, you need to be working as much at the craft as I am. And it's not a matter of necessarily being phenomenally talented at what we do, because sometimes all I'm doing is selling lettuce at Ralph's, you know, but, and McDonald's did not make their money off of selling filet mignon. But when the $2 is plunked down, your perceived value is met. And I would rather be the McDonald's of voiceover than the Ruth's Chris any day, because billions served is my goal. But, you know, do what you do well, know what you do and sell that. And again, going back to what I said earlier is, okay, I've just contradicted myself. Don't sell yourself.
I was going to say, I got to
Offer
get back into porn.
Hey, God-given gifts, you have to take advantage of. It has never been an option in my life. All I know is I've been paid to keep my clothes on.
Oh, man.
But yeah, you know, whatever you can do to just be involved in the business. I was lucky enough to have fallen into things the way I did, because when I was done taking classes and put together my demo working with Tom Pinto, I actually got the opportunity to work with Tom at Voice Tracks West, which was his studio before. It's had several owners in its lifetime now. But I ended up being the demo producer because Tom knew that I had production experience having worked in radio. And so I worked with him. And then at one point, he started having me co-teach the workshops with him. And then he eventually handed the workshops over to me in full. And for a few years, I taught all the workshops out of Voice Tracks West. And then one day, Tom said, you know what? All the demo work and workshops that we do are really kind of your thing. Why don't you take that and run with it? And that's 1991. I remember July of 1991, I opened up Nova Productions. And Tom gave me all that business.
Wow.
And he also gave me a bonus, for the work that we done, because he always gave us bonuses for the work we done through the year. He gave me my bonus money at that point, which allowed me to buy equipment and get things going and open an office and get started. And it was just it was so scary getting out there on my own. Best thing that ever happened. Nothing ever happens in life worthwhile if you don't have some butterflies and your palms don't sweat at least a little bit. Because if it doesn't, you're not taking any risks. And you're never going to grow if you don't take risks. It won't happen, Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because I know that we're now, going a little bit beyond the 1 hour mark, but what you brought up earlier is something I really would like you to share with everybody is what goes on in a session. You book a gig.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you've got a 60-second commercial and you got to get ready for it. And then you go in the studio. What do you do? What goes on?
Well, basically, and it's so funny because I always tell people, one of the things, do not put the pressure on yourself to be perfect. I always ask the question, answer the old, finish this old line. Practice makes perfect. No, it doesn't. Perfection does not exist in nature. Practice makes progress. Perfection is the goal. And every once in a while, you will attain that goal. But don't beat yourself up if you fall short. Learn from it, carry that forward, and don't make that mistake again. But you can't be perfect. If they expected us to be perfect, guess what? Every editor in the business would be out of work. Because all you have to do is walk in and hit record, do your thing, and walk out the door. So, and I keep a lot of people employed in this business. Trust me. So yeah, just, don't beat yourself up. Do the best you can. Be prepared. Show up early for your session so that you're not dealing with the guy that cut you off as he made 4 lane changes across the highway in front of you to get off his exit. And, just be ready to do your job. Keep your ears open. That's why by divine, design, we have one mouth and 2 ears. So listen more than you talk. And also when you're done with your session, leave. It's not a time to schmooze the client, because studios in LA will go for $450 to $600 an hour. That's $750 to $10 a minute. Every minute you sit there chit-chatting, it's costing somebody something. It's either the studio or it's the client. Because I've never seen a talent go, hey, I just chit-chatted with you for 10 minutes. Let me give you $100. So yeah, just, it's, if you want to show them your appreciation, take them out to lunch or dinner sometime. And also I'm horrible about this. And this is another thing I learned from Tom. Don't send thank you notes for every job you ever do. Don't send gifts to producers that you work with all the time. It's like, no, a simple thank you at the end of the session is plenty, because they've gotten from you what they need. Anything else is just gilding the lily, and it kind of shows a little bit of that weakness that, Darrin was talking about earlier, that lack of backbone that a lot of actors have. No, it's a transactional thing. Again, not to make it so sanitary that you don't have any personality or care or like for some of the people I've worked with have become friends of mine. And I cherish the relationships I have with them. But yeah, they don't ever send you a gift for doing a great job. Why should you send them something and say, hey, you got what you wanted? I got a paycheck. Cool. We're good. We're even.
So wait, it's a business?
It's amazing how much they appreciate you too.
It's a good callback.
You're solving a problem for them. They needed a great voice to do their spot, and they just want you to do great. I remember the very first session I ever did for a commercial for Dunkin' Donuts. The very first commercial I ever did. I was terrified I didn't want to screw up. I didn't want to get it wrong. And I was luckily in a session with somebody else who was just having fun. I went, oh, we can have fun doing this. Oh, okay, great. And now every time I go to a session, I'm just enjoying the time to be there. And you're right. Thank you very much. I appreciate you bringing me in. Hey, we appreciate you being here.
Yeah. And, Michael, you're absolutely right. We are problem solvers. They have something that needs to be taken care of. We're there to take care of it for them. And you kind of have to feel the room a little bit when you get into a session. Some people are open to taking suggestions. I will make copy suggestions with regard to what is easier for me to say, as long as it doesn't change substantially anything in the message. But this is a difficult thing for me. Some people can probably rip right on through it. I'm just one of those weird people that can't say certain word combinations. But like, I'm sorry. No, that explains 2 divorces. Anyway, no. But yeah, I mean, we are there to solve a problem. But you also made a very good point when you said you were terrified going in, you just wanted to do well. That is absolutely paramount. The day I stop getting butterflies before I go into a session is the day I'm going to hang it up, because we want to do well. How those nerves manifest themselves, how those butterflies come out in our real day-to-day is totally different. I will tell you the first time you walk in, it's like, oh God, I hope I don't, mess up. My first job, I walked in and they handed me a script, showed me the booth and said, okay, we're going to be working a picture today. It's like, what? I had no idea what that meant. I'd never done that before. And they spent about 40 minutes to work me through the session. And they were really patient and really kind. And they called the agency afterward and they said, he did a great job. We really enjoyed working with him. And I knew they weren't blowing smoke 2 weeks later when they called me for another job. And that one only took about 20 minutes, as it should have the first time. So, but I was a lot more comfortable because I'd done that before and it was new. It wasn't anything new that they were throwing at me. And it's like, okay, cool. So yeah, how those nerves manifest themselves. But as long as you care about what you're doing, you're going to want to do well. So, and that's really the key to it all. I get paid to have fun. I mean, as you well know, you do too. It is the best gig in the world. I'm too lazy to work. This is a perfect job for me.
Wow. Okay, so let's. I mean, I'm sure we can carry this on for a lot more here.
I don't have to be in bed till midnight, so I'm good.
Okay. But what about now? You're a coach, so you do teach. Mm-hmm. And if people go to your website, nickomana.com, they'll be able to find out more about lessons. Do you have something coming up? Or?
I'm woefully, I have not kept my web page as current as some of the things I'm doing, but people can certainly get hold of me via the web page. It'll actually kick over to my regular email, which is novaprods@aol.com. Please don't laugh at the AOL. If it wasn't for me, those 7 people wouldn't have a paycheck. So,
and they thank you.
Yeah, yes, they do. Every Christmas, I get cards from people I don't even know.
And little compact discs. Little compact discs with free hours on them.
And noises like
yeah. Yeah. No, it's one of those things where when it comes to the coaching aspect of what I do, I try to work with everybody at their ability level, and I will demand more from people who I see are a little further along on the path than I will of people who are just starting out. But I do put them to the task. Mm-hmm. The thing is, I can teach you how to do this, but it's up to you to do it. I can't do it for you. And you quickly find, and I've had a lot of people that have come through, taken every level of class that I teach, private, studied with me and all kinds of stuff, never worked a day in their life. Mm. I've had people who come through that I, have worked with just initially. I had a couple of people who've gone on to do really, really well, who worked minimally with me before putting together demos, because I told them flat out, you already have this. You know what this is. You've got an innate sense for this. And they've gone on to have really good careers. So the one thing I can never tell a person, one thing I will never tell a person is, you can't do this. You're no good. What I will tell them is what they need to do to become proficient. And then it's up to them to follow that path, whether it's working with me or any of a number of other really good qualified coaches. And there's some people out there that I go, I'm not going to badmouth them, but I wouldn't make them the first recommendation. But there are some other people out there that I think are really, really good. And I'm not the know all and end all, but it's also not a bad idea to get, if you work with me, probably not a bad idea to get somebody else's perspective too, because I can't cover it all. My perspective is my perspective. People have other points of view and other life experiences that they can bring to the table that you can certainly learn from.
So let me give you a hypothetical. Let's say that there's this 40-something actor guy who's thinking about going into voiceovers. It's true hypothetical here.
Thinly veiled hypothetical.
Yeah, right.
But okay.
What would somebody like that want to do coming into a class for you, right? And how would I prepare myself? Let's just throw the veil off. How would I prepare myself? And this is for people who are watching this and would want to get into this industry and start taking courses. How would I prepare myself, and what would I want to do? Because again, we go back to, hey, guess what? It's a business. So I'm coming into your class as somebody who's lived in the business for a while, going, I want every single thing that I want to get out of you. Here's the problem. I don't know what I want from you because I don't know the business well enough to know what I should know to want from you. Right?
Yeah.
So how do I prepare myself to maximize my time with you?
I would probably say one thing I always tell people to do is watch TV commercials, listen to radio commercials, know what's out there, know what the styles are, know what the competition is, see what they're producing right here and now. And that changes. I still listen to my girlfriend and I will be watching TV and we'll have something DVR'd and she'll go to click past and whoa. I need to watch the commercials. That's my business. You realize that helps pay for things around here. She goes, really? I go, all right. Always get involved with the Rockefeller if you can. No, no, she's not. I have full transparency on this guy. But no, I think the other thing too is get into, I teach a core basics class. It's a 3-week class, and people can quickly decide after the 3 weeks whether that's, their cup of tea or not. And it really gives you a good solid foundation. It gives you copy breakdown, and we do all kinds of different things we work, technical sides of what you have to deal with. And so people start getting aware of what all is involved. I think the biggest thing in most cases for me is dispelling a lot of the myths and rumors that people have coming in. I had one guy who came to me and he said, I do this, blah, 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 blah. I said, you know what? I don't even think you're ready to take my basic class. And I sent him off to an even more basic class taught by somebody else that I knew. And, he kind of worked his way back up. And eventually, after a period of time, he came back to me and I said, okay, now we can talk, because his idea of what the business was completely, not in the realm of what it really is. And so, when people call me and say, I do tons of impressions and everybody, laughs, my family thinks it's hilarious. I said, when you can get your family to pay you money to do what you're doing, now you're good. Until then, okay, great. Grandma thinks you're funny. Wonderful. That and, $1.50 will get you a regular venti at Starbucks. But maybe if you have points to use as well. But yeah, just a lot of people, as you said earlier, a lot of people think it's easy because all you're doing is talking. But try and talk, with an attitude and a specific goal in mind. Actually, would you mind if I screen shared something with you?
Always.
Sure, go
for it.
ahead.
Okay.
Let me.
I have a commercial that I did, and it is. Some people might go, "Really? You did a commercial for that?" But now I've got you all intrigued.
It's not my
Yes.
it's not my porn page, is it?
No, that one I charge for that one.
Oh,
So this is a spot that a lot of people would go, "Oh, I didn't know that was, I never would have pictured that as your voice." So it's a company called Keltec, and I did this a few years ago. And let me see if I can, before I share that, I should probably share sound. There we go. So then you'll actually be able to hear it. So here's the spot I did for them.
This is no ordinary shotgun, not with innovative dual-tube magazines that hold over a dozen 12-gauge shells. That's how, in the 1 millionth of a second, when innovation ignites performance, ordinary tactical shotguns became obsolete. Innovation, performance, Keltec.
So a lot of people don't, if you hear my voice the way I'm speaking now, they go, "That's your voice." What did they do? Absolutely nothing. That was my voice, unfiltered, unadulterated, anything. One of the things I teach people is mic technique, because if you don't have mic technique, you can't get that sound out of this voice. But if you can work with mic this close, you barely have to project all the bottom end. Of course, at this time of night, I have no bottom end of my voice. I try to get all of my sessions done by 3:30, 3:30, because just fatigue will rob you of the bottom end of your voice. You want a good voice like that? Book me at 9 o'clock in the morning. Not a problem.
It's like I had to go to the morning
Voice
session
get me
right
at
there.
6. Yeah.
That Don
But,
LaFontaine voice, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, love Don. He was such a great guy. He actually came by my studio a couple of times because it was on his way home, and he would go home, and he could work from home because he had his ISDN line and everything else. But if traffic was bad, he'd call me and says, "I need to come in. Could you have 5 minutes for me?" I go, "Yeah, I know it's only going to take you 2, but come on in." And he was just so good. He did what he did, and he did it well, and he got paid really well for doing that. But yeah.
Wow. Well, Nick,
So-
thank you so much for.
Oh, please. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me. You guys hardly cut me off at all.
And everyone, if you want to, NickOmana.com, NickOmana.com, and his email address is
Novaprods, NOVAPRODS @AOL.com. Novaprods actually is short for Nick Omana Voice Actor Productions. So came to me in the shower many years ago when I was trying to come up with a corporate name for getting my tax stuff set up. So
nice.
Very clever. I like that.
Nicely
Thank you.
done. Yeah, my initials are Die. That doesn't work. And then when you flip my name backwards, it's Near Rad. I'm like, oh, that's not nice either. So
gonna have to figure something out for you, Derek.
yeah, I'm gonna have to work it out.
Well, wow, thank you so much. And I mean, I'm sure there were
My
a lot
pleasure.
more that we could talk about, but I'd like to maybe say we'll leave that for another time down the road, because
I would love to come back
follow that.
anytime you guys want to have me back. I would be more than happy to.
Super
You know,
fun.
And maybe
Yeah.
then I'll bark and growl for you like I've gotten
Ooh.
paid many times to do.
Oh,
So-
we may charge for
ac-
that.
Actually, we do have one. I have one request before we go.
Sure.
Rasputin, the Mad Frog.
It's so funny because Rasputin he didn't have a really, distinct voice. He was just a young, angry frog, I guess. I don't know. I did that when I think I was about 29, 30 years old at the time.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
yeah, that was quite a long time ago. But yeah, it was fun working Ninja Turtles, getting to work with Cam Clark and Rob Paulson, Barry
Townsend.
Gordon, Townsend Coleman, all the guys, and back then when I was on the show, James Avery was still the voice of Shredder. And then, of course, Pat Fraley is Krang and everything else. It's just, and Jimmy Cummings was there. It's just, it was a lot of fun. And we'd be yik-yakking. And then, of course, Susan Blue would be up at the front directing us all. And she'd say, okay, let's pick it up at line, blah, blah, blah. And suddenly the room would go quiet. And as soon as we were, between take all this chit chat, it's like, I don't know how we did it without getting into trouble. She didn't have to yell at one of us.
Well, and my daughter is a giant TNMP. God, I can't even say it.
Now, is she original?
All of them. Don't kid yourself.
Going back to the
All
original.
of them.
Cool.
And she's even gone so far as to say that she is going to ensure that someday there's going to be a girl turtle and she's going to be the voice.
I think there should be. Come on, there should
There
be 4
is a
girl
turtle.
turtles.
Well, no, but she has a name.
She's
she has
alcohol.
no. She's got a whole character that she's built out, and it's important. She has a signed Donatello from Rob Paulson. Like she's in it.
Nice.
Yeah, she's in it. So.
Oh, she wants a signed Rasputin. Let me know.
Oh my God, she would love that. Oh, she would freak out. She'd lose her mind. Yeah, she's all about it. So yeah, I'll let her know that you were on here. And
so, well, thank you. That is the one thing that I will say about this business is when people recognize you for stuff you've done, it's gratifying. It's fun. It's like, wow, people were actually listening. And they noticed. How cool is that?
Well, I'll take it to the next level, and we might get a little weepy at this point, so I apologize for doing that. But those that have watched the show or have watched me throughout know that my daughter is also autistic, and she learned how to speak or taught herself that it was okay to speak through cartoons and TV shows and so forth. So I always attribute the Ellen DeGeneres Show, Jimmy Fallon, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as the people who guided my daughter to be okay to speak in the world. And
How cool is that? Thank you.
And it's those things, and it comes back to what you said, the humanity in your voices, the ability to say, this is somebody that I can feel okay talking to, that it's safe for me. And that's the gift that you give to people. So I really appreciate it as the father of an autistic child.
Thank you. No, that's really cool. That is a huge bonus to what we do. That is one of those things that's just, it kind of comes out of the blue and it's like, wow, cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's the cherry on the top of the sundae right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And a few sprinkles to boot.
Okay, there we go.
And 4 nuts.
Hey, we are what we are.
Nick, once again, ladies and gentlemen, give it up. Nick Omana!
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, sir.
I really do.
Appreciate
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. And we'll talk a little bit after we do the wrap up with the show.
Absolutely. I'll duck out and wait for you to come grab me.
Sounds like a plan.
Oh my! On a Friday night, that's the best offer I've had.
All right.
It's been COVID. What do you expect?
He said he has till midnight. We got like 59 minutes to make this happen.
I'm good for 4, but I'm just. You want a good tight 30 seconds? That I can give you. So. On that, I'm going to leave you guys. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Stay
Thank
well.
you so much again, Nick.
Take
See
care,
you
guys.
later.
Bye.
What a great guy.
Great guy.
What a great guy. Great interview. Great everything. Super excited that he was here. That was awesome.
Yeah. And that's the one thing that I loved about Nick when we first met years ago. He was my coach. He and Tom Pinto were my mentors. I even still consider Nick my mentor today for voiceover because every now and then it's a question. Okay. Call Nick. It's such a pleasure to get inside information sharing from somebody who's not only been in the business as long as he has, but who is also into coaching people and to helping people understand what the business is about. Like he said, it's not just getting in front of a microphone and saying the words.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah. And then you just left us speechless. Nicely done.
Absolutely. So, well, tomorrow night we've got a couple of shows.
Do we really?
Well, yeah.
Do you have a slide? Do you have a slide? We can talk to a slide.
Oh, gosh.
I'm really good at slides.
You are good at slides?
I am.
You know what? Let me share the slides.
I'm excited.
It's gonna be like talking to video, just like
I
Nick
can't wait.
did.
But there's no closed captions. How do I even know the copy? All right.
How about this slide right here?
Oh, man. Tomorrow night, we are at the Vaudacity Network. We are having open mic night. It is Hearts Fire Cabaret, and that starts at 6 o'clock. And it's going to be a cool show. It's open mic, and that's a true open mic. It's just all of us regular folks doing something. There's not actually a, hey, you got to do this. No. Paul's left it open, and it's going to be a whole eclectic mix of performers bringing the Hearts Fire to that cabaret. Super excited. Really hope you guys will be there. You may or may not see this bald head singing a little bit there as well.
Cool. So that's tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific, and then we're going to follow that with
Acoustics and Stones. Ooh, that's just like it rolls, right? Like you don't even have to know that was coming. Acoustics and Stones. Oh, and this is number 3. And obviously you have the 2 sexy beasts that you see on the screen, Hunter Ackerman and Paul. I keep calling him Par. I have never gotten that out of my head.
Parganilla?
Par Carganarla or something in my head. It's like, I'm so sorry, Paul. You know I love you. I just can't get your name right. And it's the part of your name that's easy. That's the thing that drives me batty, is that it's not the Carganilla that I have trouble with. It's Paul. But right after that, the Acoustics and Stones. Man, I messed it up. Said it was easy. Saturday, May 22nd. That's tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time. And then at the same time. Oh, that's next week.
No, that's next week. I'm sorry, I forgot.
You're trying to throw me
order. My bad.
Trying to throw me a curveball here. But our good friend Amanda Benjamin is coming on Sunday, or is that Monday? That is Sunday. At 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, Amanda on Demanda. She is taking your requests. She is spinning the wheel. She is finding ways to charm your heart and soothe your senses and belt her off for you. What? We can do that, right? We can do that.
Yes, and she belts very well.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. Have good speakers, and you will enjoy. Amanda on Demanda on Sunday night at 7:30 Pacific. Ooh.
This is the big one.
In a world. There is a... Had to. Little tie back. So we are having a in-person... Ooh, look at the plosives right into the mic. In-person show on Friday, July 2nd and Saturday, July 3rd. It is a doubleheader. It is a feast de resistance. It is... what we are calling the Vaudacity Family Reunion Festival, or Festival, as it were, if we want to really get in there. Live in person, fully vaccinated audience, streaming on pay-per-view. So we are doing a little bit of a hybrid model of the show. And on Friday, July 2nd, we are having, as we do tomorrow night, or Sunday night, Amanda on Demanda, and then the Picker Circle with the Pierces, the Lovecast with Hunter Ackerman, and Out of the Cove, which I am assuming is going to be Par Carganarga. And it says more surprises. So I'm not sure what those surprises are. It could be me naked. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, so it's probably not that. And then Saturday, July 3rd, we are bringing back live and in-person Polly's live Picnic online variety show, which means you get to see humans in the flesh, some of them possibly clothed, and it's number 85, going to be an unbelievable hug fest. There will be lots of bodily fluids shared, mostly sweat. It's going to be fantastic. Stand-up and improv comedy, as well as singing and dancing. And that is going to be out in the OC. It's BYOD, or BYOFBLC, as it were on the slide. And there is a charge for it if you're going to come live, but I'll tell you, it's going to be worth it. This is just unbelievable, and I am super excited to just be a part of it. I'm also going to be a spectator probably half the time, so just eyes open, mouth agape. So looking forward to that.
And the details, I think, are going to be shared tomorrow night on Acoustics and Stones as to how to for the to get your tickets for those shows?
Yeah, so what Craig's trying to tell you is it's not going to be the entire Orange County where we're going to be performing. There will be a place.
There will be
well.
a place.
Yes.
Absolutely. It
Which
is
would be
somewhere in Orange County, and it's going to be fantastic.
Unbelievable.
So that's what we got coming up.
Super excited.
Lots of great stuff.
Well, gentlemen, again, what a great show. Obviously, us three can't take credit for that great show. Nick carried us the entire way, and I'm cool with that because it's
fine. Yeah.
That's actually the format of the show is, hey, we're not that interesting, but let's bring on some interesting people, and it makes us look interesting, so that's cool, and we'll go with it. But thank you two gentlemen. You guys are always unbelievable, and I am so grateful to know you as people. Maybe not Michael.
A little bit.
A little bit of Michael. A little bit.
You do bring something to the table, Michael. So I think we'll keep you around for at least the next show.
Thank you.
You are
I'll be here for the next one.
You're the hairiest of the bunch and the youngest, so there's that.
There we go.
Yeah, you're almost a full Picard. I mean, you're really letting it out there.
Oh yeah, no, I'm going for the young Picard thing. When CBS All Access goes for young Picard, I'm in.
Nicely done. I like it.
And then we'll be the brothers.
Perfect.
Yes,
Love
Daryl and Daryl.
Engage. There you go. That's what he says, right?
He does say engage.
Okay, good.
That's
yes.
right.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you to our audience, to anybody who watches this live and after live. And hope you guys have a great weekend. Here comes that big music again. Don't let it not move you. Just let it move you. Just let it take you where it's going to go. Feel it?